Hi everyone, it's me, Mr. Willard. First screencast ever, so please be nice with this process. I thought I'd do a bit of a breakdown of what we'd normally do in class this week. I'm going to break down your 10-mark question a little bit. If you have any questions, please shout out afterwards. I'm going to upload a whole bunch of different documents and things like that to go with this, but at least that way you'll get some sort of an idea. So this is the 10-mark question. It's a part of your checklist. So as you can see, the union and the human resource manager are debating between using awards or agreements to help businesses' ability to meet their business objectives. Analyze how the following will impact on the ability for a business to meet their objectives. So we're looking at awards, agreements, and also a formalized grievance procedure to resolve disputes. So let's have a look at the key parts of this question. If I'm looking at it from this perspective, and I'll just pull up my toolbar so you guys can see exactly so I can do it live. Very, very key things that we're going to pick out here is that you've got the human resource manager as really key bits of information, awards, agreements, and what the key thing is that we want to link every single thing back to is this whole idea about objectives. The other really key thing to think about, and it comes through in the second part of the question, is the debating phase. I don't think it's a big thing that you really need to highlight. I will just in this case here, because when we look at grievance procedures, that's where that part comes in. And where this question really comes into it's sort of prime, I guess you'd call it, is through this whole idea that we're going to analyze. So, and you guys have probably heard me say this 50 million times in class or in different places or anything like that before. What are we looking for when we see the word analyze? I'm going to pause so hopefully everyone screams at their computers. Yep. We're looking at, and it even says that there in the next part of the question, is the impact. So we're looking at how each of these things impact directly on objectives. So we're looking at, first of all, awards, agreements, and a grievance procedure. Okay? So we're going to make sure that you reference all of those key points in your response. So when we go through, and I'm going to scroll down slightly, what we're looking for you guys when we're going through, and this is the marking perspective, is first of all for you guys to have strong content knowledge. A lot of you guys have goals and different things like that set in your class. Remember, one of those key things we need is that comprehensive and accurate knowledge. And what we're looking for is on those really key things, awards, agreements, and dispute resolution. Then I need you to reference the key task word. So we're looking at how do those three things that we pointed up here before, so these three things, how do they impact on a business's ability to meet their objectives? So we'll keep going down. So when we're looking at it, and it says here, detailed analysis of how each of those things relate back to it. After that stage, what I'm looking for is making sure your definitions, your description, and your application relates every single thing back to what we've been learning. Okay, so that's an overall broad perspective. If you feel like you've got a good grasp on this, I'd pause this recording right here and I would start to try and put together my answer. If you get lost, then you keep going forward and having a look at the next part. So what I have after this point is checkpoint 2. This is not a 100% guide through from doing it, but as you can see from the checkboxes, this is what you need to make sure you include in your response if you want to be getting full marks. Okay? I'm not looking word for word, but this is a really good guide to what a full 10-mark question should include, especially for the analysis ones. So first of all, define key terms. All of the key terms that we highlighted all the way at the start of the question in yellow, they should be referenced, and I'm also going to quickly highlight here grievance procedures. These should all be defined somewhere in your response. That doesn't necessarily mean you can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different words. You're not going to get 6 marks by doing that, but you improve the strength of your answer by having them in there. We keep going downwards from there. What you need to make sure you have is that you connect business objectives to those 3 key ideas. If you don't, that really doesn't create a very strong analysis. You need to make sure that that's encapsulated in your response. Otherwise, it's very, very hard, or it's impossible, not hard, to get 4 marks because you're not actually speaking in detail. How does an award impact our objectives? How do agreements impact our objectives? How does a really solid grievance procedure impact our objectives? Okay, so, and it says here in the next part of the reference task word, that is what you are looking for. Okay, in this case, there's no scenario, there's no case studies, there's just the sentence at the top. How does it do it? So then we go down a little bit further, and as you can see, the first thing, we're now looking at award. What we are looking for is, and it says right here, what is the positive impact of using award to help business objectives? Okay, how does it assist us? I'm not looking for a discuss advantages and disadvantages. I'm looking for how does it impact? So I'm looking for a positive impact and possibly a negative impact. I normally like to do both because you sort of show that you actually fully understand the key idea and go from there. So what I've done, positive impact. My example is, what do we know about award? Award is the basic minimum for the whole industry. So if your workplace is going to be implementing an award process, what it allows us to do is that it's very time efficient. We don't need to waste time away from the job negotiating or anything like that because it's set from the Fair Work Commission. So it's going to save us a lot of time. The other thing is, because it's the basic bare minimum, it's also going to save the business a whole lot of cash. So when we're looking at those aspects, it's great because if we spend more time on the job and if we spend less money on our expenses, bam, increases our profit straight away. Then we look at the next point. We're going to look at how would award negatively impact it. Well, I know personally, if I'm getting paid less compared to another workplace, I'm going to feel really, really demotivated and go, well, what's going on? Why doesn't my workplace value me? I might start to look for another job, so you'll lose valuable employees, but also I might lose motivation. If I lose motivation, I'm not going to work as hard. All of a sudden, that's a concern. I am going to start to probably lose money because my work performance is not going to be as good. I'm not going to work as hard. We're not going to make as many products. The quality of my service is not going to be great. So that's going to impact our profit as well. We go downwards from there. Collective agreements. So I'll stop at collective agreements and then we'll keep going out. Collective agreements, as we know, between a group of employees and also the workplace. So because of that reason, it needs to be at least above the award rates. So when we are doing that, automatically that is great because we can attract skillful employees if we're paying them above the award and other businesses are not paying them as much. So because we're rewarding them, we can attract those skilled employees. That's awesome, yeah? Sorry, I was talking with my hands, so I wasn't using my mouse. I'm being a bit of a goose, but that's all right. So by attracting those skillful employees, they're going to do a better job. Automatically, we go back to this idea here. It's going to help us meet our objectives because we're going to have quality service, going to attract those employees, all of those key things. Okay? Negative impact. Well, if we're paying our employees a lot more money, we're paying them. Yeah? So when we pay them, increase wages. We know if we have increased wages, boom, there is a big decrease for our profit. That's a bad thing. Yeah? So that's the key impact that what we're going to see is, yes, we're going to, whoops, sorry, that was Thor dropping his bone, is that we're going to have a really key thing where we're looking at that they're going to be rewarded for their work, but it's going to cost us money. We've got to outweigh the difference between the two. The last thing is more about that debating side of things. So we have the union and the human resource manager debating this whole situation. So if we have a really well thought out grievance procedure, which we know is a step-by-step process set internally from the business to resolve disputes, that is going to help us out. How is it going to help us? First of all, is you need to make sure that it's going to help set clear expectations of what is expected when we're going to resolve a dispute. If that is clear and easy, as you can see here, it's going to save us time. When we save time, that results in more time completing your work. When people spend more time completing their work, the job gets done quicker, we make more money. Okay, that's a great thing. We look at the bad thing though, the negative impact behind this whole situation is sometimes there's a bit of a bias, because when you have a think about the people resolving disputes, they're in higher management. They sometimes support their lower managers, such as the human resource manager. That could cause a bit of a bias, which could lead to an escalation, sometimes strikes and different things like that, which can cause an issue to it. If those strikes and things happen, automatically that stops work and things like that. That obviously results in less sales, less products being made, lowering our profit overall, impacting our ability to lower our business objectives. So, just to give it a really sum up, you're looking at each of these 3 points. How do they relate to impacts? I'd be trying to summarize with this nice little paragraph at the end and go from there. I hope this video has helped everyone try and work out how they're going to tackle their 10-mark question. I would love for everyone to try it. In the coming week or two, I will put one up breaking down a model response just to make it a bit more clearer, but hopefully this has helped overall. If you have any questions, queries, or anything like that, please shout out to me. I'll be on Teams throughout tomorrow. Other than that, enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks. Bye.